Hi, I wanted to take a few minutes to share with you an example of course material shell that was set up for e-learning students. This is for an online course and has gone through the peer review process, so I figured it would give you some examples of ways that you can strategically set up your shells. Now, I've already clicked here on the sidebar, course materials, as you see on the top here, and it's brought me to all of the materials that I use for instruction with my students in this course. I'm going to go ahead and just click on an example. So this is a learning module. Um, by going up here to build content, you can click learning module, type in whatever name you would like to name your module, give it a description if you would like, and then make it open to viewers here. You will hit submit. I'm not going to do that just because I've already created mine, but you would hit submit and then you would get a folder Dropbox that would look just like the one here. Okay, so you'd have a folder with the name that you assigned it. Now mine has already been created. So when I click on this, if I had just created this, there would be nothing in there. Mine clearly has multiple things in there. So this is all of the instruction that those students will have for this week. And I'm just going to go through the basics to begin with, and then probably later on add more videos to help walk you through each step-by-step process. So some of the key things that I have learned through the process of creating online courses and kind of the standards that are set is to make things clear for the student. So it has to be really intuitive, not just for you as the instructor, but also for the student. That's why overviews are really important. So this is the overview for the week. And what it does is says, hey, this is what we're learning this week. Here's all the material that you need to review, whether it be a PowerPoint that you post, a video, a reading, a YouTube. I tend to use a lot of outside sources to help in the online courses, especially videos of lectures that are a little bit longer and very thorough with explaining to students. I always add, here's your reading that you should also be doing so that students know here's the material that's within the shell, and then here is the reading that I expect you to do along with it. Then after that, after you've done your job, the student, of reviewing all this material, what do I expect you to do? So here's the assignments associated with this week. A worksheet, workbook pages, a module quiz, and then a discussion board. So those are just some examples of how I set up my shell with that nice overview to tell students, here's what your job is this week, here's what you need to read and review, and then here's what you need to submit to me. As I scroll down, you'll see that there is the PowerPoint for the students to evaluate. So this was attached as a file, which I will show you how to do. I also embedded some web links. So when you see things like this is a web link that will take them directly to a specific video that you like them to see. You can see that there's a video also embedded here for further review as well. And then the assignments for the module. Now, personally, I embed my assignments into every single module week just for consistency. I know that some people do not do that. Some do their assignments separately as its own taskbar. But again, this is just an example of how I set mine up. So this would be an example of their case study assignment that I had assigned for the week. This was a worksheet that I had assigned for the week, a quiz that I had built in to my Blackboard that auto-graded, which is always wonderful, and then an article to read and a discussion board. So the hard part about replacing a face-to-face lecture with e-learning is trying to figure out creative ways that you can make things that you already do interactive online. So discussion boards are a little bit easier way to start. For sure, adding some interaction into your online environment. So these are just some examples. I'm going to show you now just kind of basics. This one is an attached file. So whenever you want to add material to your content, you can click Create Item that is how I created my overviews. So module 2 overview, and I'm going to put just an example. Do X, Y, Z. And if I hit submit, because I want to at least give you an idea of how this will appear, then this item is going to go to the bottom of my shell. So there we go. So that's just an example. You can do an item where you just type and students see it as text. And that is what I did here, how I organized. You can also do a file. So if I have a file on my computer, aorta PowerPoint, for example, then I would just select a file. I have lots of files, so we're just going to go with a syllabus and open that. Okay, so now by checking here, no, I don't want it in another window. It's going to open in this window. I permit my viewers to see the content. Yes, and submit. Then this will appear a little bit differently. And you can see go to PowerPoint, and then if I was to click it, then it's an attached file. I'm going to go through assignments and things like that separately. Because I think that they need definitely a little bit more time and care. But when you look here, you can also see create. This is how you would create a web link, for example. If you click there, you type YouTube video, and would embed the URL here. So if you had this separately on your computer, you would just copy and paste that URL. And then students will be able to click on that within your Blackboard and be directed there. One key thing that I want to point out on this is that as I've been looking through and just kind of clicking on those buttons, I've had the edit mode on. So sometimes the edit mode for some reason is off, and that would be similar to what your students would have the access to not really be able to change anything. So always make sure that that's on. Again, if I shut it off, then I'm not going to be able to change anything. So I'm going to turn that back on. And another key thing when you start adding material and you start looking at your Blackboard course materials is to make sure that you look at it through student preview before you make your official selections and your finalizations. So if I hit my student preview, this is how students will see my shell as they enter. So this is my welcome page. If the student was to click course material, this is what they would see. Unfortunately, the way I have it set up, it has an adaptive release. So my students wouldn't be able to see my shell without having submitted that. So because I have not done so, I'm not able to do that. So it helps when you check those things, especially before opening the course to a student. But this is because I have adaptive releases. I'm going to go ahead and just eliminate that for this. Module. Delete. And I will put that rule back on later. Now let's go ahead and see if I'm able to get into module 2. So course materials. There we go. Now I can see it. So I had an adaptive release. I think that that's a little too advanced to discuss right now, but because I had that on there, I couldn't see my material. Now, again, I'm in student preview mode. You can see that at the top here, and I'm going to go ahead and click my module. Now, this is how students see my pages, right? Very different from how I saw it. That's why it's so important as an instructor that you take the time when you set these up just to make sure that they don't look weird or out of order, and try and keep the organization as consistent as possible, because if you're new to this, it's hard enough for you. You're getting comfortable, and we have to keep that in mind for our students as well. So this is my overview page. Students can choose to go through my table of content here that gives them options. They can just skip to what they want to go to, or they can go page by page. So if I click to page 2, that's going to give them the file here for them to click on. And hopefully that'll load for you. Once that loads, this is my PowerPoint. And they get the chance to review just like they would in class. Now for me, this one does not have audio, and I know that. So usually I recommend my students, especially if they have audio, to play it from the beginning and it'll cycle through. That's the nice thing about using Collaborate, is you can make those video lectures that are a little more intuitive for students. Now, I really have gotten a little off track here, but we'll get back on. This is examples though. If I was to then go ahead and click, we'll do page 3. You can see that this takes me to guidelines. So this takes me directly to the article that I wanted to read and have students to review, and they can go ahead and scroll through this. And then they simply would X out of that Word doc and it would take them back. And then a video just to show you the example. If I was to click this video here that's embedded, it tells them watch video and they can click to play the video here. Now I will get into assignments a little bit kind of more as we go, but I'll show you an example. You know, as they click pages, or if they just select the assignment on the side, it will give them their due date, their points possible, to help them walk through. Now I'll go through this separately because I only have 15 minutes for free on this screencast. So this just kind of walks you over the basics as far as how to set up and organize your course materials. Thank you.